The cold steel hallway of the United Earth Fleet Command echoed with the sound of Commander James Carter's boots. His uniform was crisp, his expression calm but focused. He had been summoned early that morning, without warning, and escorted straight to the top level of the command tower in New Geneva, Earth's orbital capital. The room he entered was dark, with a wide window overlooking the curve of Earth below. Admiral Rock Dane stood by the glass, his hands behind his back. His voice was deep, firm, and carried the weight of a man used to being obeyed. "Commander Carter," the Admiral said, turning slowly, "you've been selected for a critical mission. You are to lead the Horizon Spear to Zarnok 3. You'll be the first human commander to set foot on that planet. History is being written, and you're going to be the ink." Carter nodded once. "Diplomatic mission, sir." Rock's face showed nothing. "Yes, peace, first contact. We are showing goodwill, but we must show strength as well. This isn't a handshake, it's a message." Carter noticed a flicker of hesitation in the Admiral's tone. "I wasn't assigned diplomats. There's no mention of an ambassador on the passenger manifest." "There won't be one," Rock said bluntly. "We're not there to talk. Not yet. We're there to be seen. The ship's presence will speak for us." "Understood." It wasn't really a question. Carter paused, but gave the expected answer. "Understood, sir." The Admiral approached him and placed a small data chip in his hand. "Your orders are on this, locked to your command codes. You'll read them after launch." Carter nodded again. He was a soldier. He followed orders, but something in his gut turned as he left the room. The Horizon Spear launched 3 days later. It was the most advanced ship Earth had ever built. Sleek, black, and sharp as a blade, it cut through space like a silent predator. Carter stood on the bridge, watching the stars blur into streaks as they jumped into hyperspace. His crew worked with quiet efficiency. They were trained, disciplined, and trusted him. As they traveled, Carter explored the ship. He walked the halls, inspecting systems, checking crew status. Everything looked normal, but still there were things that didn't add up. There were no diplomatic tools on board, no language programs for communication, no ceremonial gifts, no negotiation space in the ship's design. Instead, he noticed sealed compartments in the lower decks. No access, no explanation, not even to the ship's commander. He asked his chief engineer about it. "Classified, sir," she said, clearly uncomfortable. "We weren't given codes for those sections." Carter didn't press further, but the discomfort grew. Late one night cycle, he sat in his private quarters, staring at the data chip Rock had given him. He slid it into the console. A single file opened. "Mission objective: proceed to Zarnok 3. Establish presence. Observe Varelian response. No engagement unless provoked. Note all high-threat response systems are under fleet remote override. Do not tamper. Trust the system." End of file. No mention of peace talks. No clear goal. Just presence and observation. It wasn't diplomacy. It was intimidation. Carter leaned back in his seat. He looked out the window, watching the stars drift by. His jaw tightened. Something was wrong with this mission. Very wrong. But they were already halfway to Zarnok 3, and turning back was not an option. The ship emerged from hyperspace with a quiet pulse, slowing to sublight speed as the green and gold marble of Zarnok 3 filled the main viewing screen. Commander James Carter stood on the bridge, arms folded, staring out at the alien world. Its surface shimmered with crystal landscapes. Large, glowing spires reached into the sky like natural towers. Soft clouds drifted over wide plains of violet grass. Even from orbit, the planet looked peaceful, pure. The crew around him worked silently. No one spoke much. They were trained professionals, but even they were struck by the strange beauty of the place. It looked like something out of a dream, not a real planet deep in the Orion Belt. "Commander," said Lieutenant Vega from the communications station, "we're receiving a signal from the surface. No encryption. It's harmonic. Our systems are translating." Carter stepped forward. "Let's hear it." A soft, musical voice filled the bridge. The tones were unlike anything human, like wind chimes mixed with a chorus. After a moment, a translation echoed over the voice. "Travelers from Earth, we welcome you. This is Zarnok 3, home of the Virelian people. We offer peace, knowledge, and friendship. May your journey here bring understanding." The bridge went silent again. "They don't sound like a threat," Vega whispered. Carter didn't respond right away. "Open a channel. Keep it short." Vega nodded and tapped the controls. "This is Commander James Carter of the Earth vessel Horizon Spear," he said. "We accept your welcome. We come in peace." He ended the transmission and looked around the bridge. "Maintain orbit. I want full scans of the surface. Let's see where they want us to land." Within minutes, they received coordinates. A large, open field just outside a crystalline city near a lake. There were no signs of weapons, defenses, or military activity. It all seemed peaceful, too peaceful. The shuttle touched down on soft purple grass. Carter stepped out first, wearing his atmospheric suit. The air was breathable, but protocol demanded caution. The Virelians waited at a respectful distance. Tall, elegant beings with long limbs, soft green skin, and eyes that shimmered like polished silver. They wore simple robes that changed color with the light. One of them stepped forward and bowed slightly. "I am Thalan," he said. His voice harmonized through the translator. "First speaker of the Virelians. We are honored by your presence." Carter nodded. "Commander James Carter, Earth, may we walk with you?" Thalan asked gently. "Our city is not far. We will not touch you. Only speak." Carter looked to his security team, then gave a quiet nod. "Let's go." The city of the Virelians was unlike anything Earth had built. Towering structures made of glowing crystal rose from the ground, shaped by sound and light. The city hummed with soft musical vibrations. There were no engines, no smoke, no sharp lines. Everything flowed. As they walked, the Virelians explained their ways. They lived in balance with nature. Energy came from harmonic frequencies drawn from the planet's core. There were no weapons, no armies, no crimes. Disagreements were resolved through shared resonance, what they called the Song of Reason. Carter listened silently. He asked few questions, but he watched everything. He saw no signs of deception, no hidden threats. The Virelians weren't preparing for an attack. They were preparing for friendship. He couldn't understand it. Earth had spent decades preparing for war in space. They had warned him to expect danger, deception, and power games. But here there was none of that, just harmony. Later, back aboard the Horizon Spear, Carter sat alone in his quarters, helmet off, staring at the hologram of the Virelian city projected on his table. He activated his private log. Commander's log, Day 1 on Zarnok 3. First contact successful, no signs of hostility. The Virelians are open, trusting, maybe too trusting. But something still feels wrong. Not with them, with us. Why send a fully armed warship if peace was truly the mission? Why no diplomats? I don't have answers yet, but I intend to find them. He closed the log and leaned back in his chair, the glow of the alien city still dancing across his face. Far below, the Virelians sang into the night air, their voices rising in peaceful harmony, and far above, inside sealed compartments of the Horizon Spear, weapons waited in silence. The hum of the ship's engines was steady, soft, almost soothing, but to Commander James Carter, it now sounded like a warning, a quiet reminder that this ship wasn't what it claimed to be. He walked through the dimly lit lower decks of the Horizon Spear, away from the bridge, away from the public areas where the crew worked openly. Here, the lights flickered a little more. The corridors were narrower, and the doors, some of them, were locked. For the third time since arriving at Zarnok 3, Carter stood before a heavy titanium hatch marked Restricted Access, Command Level Only. He had clearance. But when he tried to open it, the system responded with red text: Access denied. Remote lock engaged, command authorization required. Admiral Rourke Dane Carter stared at the screen. The lock didn't even recognize his authority as ship commander. Whatever was behind this door was under direct control of Earth Fleet Command. That wasn't standard protocol, not on a diplomatic mission. He turned to Lieutenant Nash, his lead engineer, who had followed him quietly. "You've checked the ship's power draw charts?" Carter asked. Nash nodded. "Yes, sir. There's a high energy pull coming from behind this section. It's constant, but not listed in any of the system logs. It's hidden under diagnostic software." "What's it powering?" Nash hesitated. "Only thing that uses that much energy is weapons. Big ones, possibly automated." Carter didn't speak for a long moment. He just stared at the door, his jaw tight. "Thank you, Lieutenant. That's all for now." Back in his private quarters, Carter inserted the original data chip again. He ran deeper scans on the file, looking for hidden layers. The system found an encrypted segment buried under a standard mission brief. A security bypass gave him access. What he read chilled him. Subdirective. Level Red classification. If Varelian response is non-compliant, initiate Operation Glass Horizon. Deploy automated assault units. Engage primary strike weapons. Use of nuclear payloads approved under emergency protocol. No live diplomatic personnel required. Psychological impact intended. Human presence optional. Below the text were specifications for drone deployment, detonation zones and system overrides. It confirmed what Carter had feared. This wasn't a mission of peace. It was a setup for war. They were the threat, not the Varelians. He stood slowly, walked to the window and looked down at the planet. The crystal cities sparkled in the green-tinted light of Zarnok's sun. He could still hear the peaceful harmonies from his visit echoing in his memory. Songs without fear, voices without hate. The people of Zarnok 3 trusted them, and Earth had sent a sword hidden inside a smile. Later, Carter called Admiral Rourke through a secure communication link. The Admiral's image appeared on his screen, calm, composed, hands folded behind his back. "You weren't supposed to access that file, Commander," Rourke said. "I had a right to know what kind of mission I was leading." Carter answered coldly. "This isn't diplomacy, it's blackmail. You want to show these people we can wipe them out. They need to know what we're capable of." Rourke replied without emotion. "They're advanced, too peaceful. That's a weakness we can't afford. Earth doesn't beg for peace. We demand respect." "They've done nothing wrong," Carter said. "They welcomed us. They trusted us. And that's exactly why we strike first. Because the galaxy won't always be that gentle. Better to teach them early who holds the power." Carter stared at him. "You're willing to kill an entire species just to make a point." "I'm willing to protect Earth's future," Rourke said firmly. "Don't forget who you work for, Carter. Your duty isn't to them, it's to us. Execute the show of force protocol. In 24 hours we go live." The screen went black. Carter sat in silence for a long time. The weight of the decision pressed against his chest. He could follow orders, launch the drones, display Earth's power, break a peaceful people to ensure fear, or he could stop it. But stopping it would mean turning against his orders, against Earth, against everything he had ever sworn to protect. Still he remembered the faces of the Varelians, the kindness in their words, the way they had opened their city, their hearts, without hesitation. They didn't deserve this. He opened a new log entry. Commander's log. Mission compromised. Truth uncovered. Earth's orders are clear. Dominate or destroy. But I won't let this happen. I'm no diplomat, but I know the difference between peace and murder. Tomorrow I make my choice. He closed the log. The countdown had begun. Commander James Carter stood at the edge of the observation deck, eyes locked on the shimmering planet below. Zarnok 3 was still beautiful, peaceful. Its crystal towers reflected sunlight like scattered stars. The Varelians had no idea what was coming. 20 hours left. That was the time Earth had given him. 20 hours before the Horizon Spear would begin Operation Glass Horizon. 20 hours before drones would rise from the ship's hidden bays and target Varelian cities. 20 hours before the strike would begin. Even if Carter refused to give the command, the Earth fleet had designed it that way. Fail-safe systems, remote control. If the commander disobeyed, the ship would act on its own, automated and merciless. Carter clenched his fists at his sides. He had followed orders his whole life, served in Earth's toughest units, led troops into battle. But this wasn't a mission. It was a massacre disguised as protocol. A soft chime broke his thoughts. "Commander," said Vega's voice over the intercom. "You have a secure message from the surface. Varelian diplomat Thalan is requesting a private meeting." Carter hesitated. "Only a moment. Tell him I'll be there within the hour." The shuttle descended slowly onto the same violet field where it had landed days ago. Carter stepped out alone, leaving his guards behind this time. He walked toward the Varelian representative, Thalan, who stood by the lake near the edge of the city. "Thank you for coming," Thalan said in his musical voice. "We sensed something wrong, a shift in your people's energy, a feeling of storm clouds." Carter looked into the ambassador's silver eyes. There was no fear in them, only concern. Trust. That trust made Carter feel heavier than ever. "There's something I need to tell you," he said slowly. "But if I do, you may not look at us the same again." Thalan tilted his head. "We see with more than our eyes, Commander. We see with understanding. Speak." Carter took a deep breath. "My ship is not here to talk. It was sent to show strength, to intimidate. If your people resist, or even hesitate, it's been ordered to attack." Thalan was silent for a long time. The gentle hum of the city behind him seemed to pause. "Why would your world fear us?" he asked finally. "We welcomed you. We offered peace. Because Earth doesn't trust peace anymore," Carter said bitterly. "We've seen too much war, too many lies. Now we assume everyone will betray us, so we strike first." Thalan stepped closer. "Will you strike, James Carter?" Carter looked away. "No, I won't, but Earth will. They've programmed the ship to act even without my command. In less than a day." Thalan placed a hand over his chest. "Then we must prepare, not for war. We have no weapons, but for truth. We must make your people see who we are." Carter nodded. "I'll buy you time. But I also need to stop my ship." Back on the Horizon Spear, Carter called a secret meeting in the engine control room with 3 of his most trusted crew, Lieutenant Nash, Communications Officer Vega, and Security Chief Rami. He laid out the full truth. The mission, the weapons, the countdown. Silence filled the room once he finished. Rami was the first to speak. "This is treason, Commander." "No," Carter said, "this is doing the right thing. We were sent here under false orders. This is genocide, dressed up as strategy. I didn't sign up for that, did you?" Nash looked uneasy but nodded. "What do you need from us?" "I need to disable the ship's AI control system, break the connection to Earth Command. If we can't stop it, Earth will launch the attack even if we stand down." Vega leaned in. "We'll be branded as traitors." Carter's voice was calm. "Or heroes. Depends who wins." The next hours passed like a storm. Nash worked deep in the engine core, rerouting power and isolating the ship's external signal links. Vega jammed the command signal uplink, creating a false status feed, so Earth Command wouldn't detect the sabotage right away. Rami locked down the armory, disabling access to the ship's drones and heavy weapons. With only 3 hours left on the countdown, the AI system flickered. The red alert signal pulsed across the bridge. Warning: Earth override command. Interrupted mission execution, delayed manual authorization. Required. Carter stood at the center of the bridge, watching it all unfold. They had done it for now. He opened a communication channel to Earth. It wasn't encrypted. It wasn't filtered. He wanted the entire system to hear. "This is Commander James Carter of the Horizon Spear. Earth Command sent us to Zarnok 3, under the false promise of peace. They told us we were here to speak, to learn, but we came armed, prepared to strike innocent beings who welcomed us with open arms. I refuse. This is not Earth's strength. This is its fear. I will not follow those orders, and I am not alone." He ended the transmission. A minute passed, then another. No response. Then finally silence broke. A new message came through. "A second Earth warship has just entered the Zarnok system. They were sending someone to finish the job." Red warning lights pulsed across the command deck of the Horizon Spear like a heartbeat. Alarms were silenced, but the tension remained heavy. The crew worked in low voices, glancing often at their commander. They knew now this was no longer a mission, it was a choice, and they had made it with him. Commander James Carter stood at the center of the bridge, his face calm but tight. His eyes were fixed on the star chart hovering in the air. A second ship, the Resolute, had entered the Zarnok system, larger, newer, and fully armed. Earth hadn't responded to Carter's broadcast, not with words. They had responded with muscle. Lieutenant Vega turned from the comm station. "No contact yet, sir. They're not hailing us." "They don't have to," Carter said. "They're not here to talk." He knew how Earth worked. Quiet force. No warning. No debate. They'd disable his ship and finish the job he had refused to do. He had little time. "Status on the AI link?" Carter asked. Lieutenant Nash answered from engineering over the comm. "Still blocked. We've delayed their remote access, but if they reboot from the Resolute, they'll force a full override." "How long until that happens?" "Less than an hour." Carter nodded, jaw clenched. Down on the planet, the Varelians had not fled. They had not hidden. Instead, they gathered. Thousands of them stood in the crystal fields, facing the sky. No weapons, no shields, only voices. They sang. A harmony so deep and wide it vibrated through the air, through the ground, even through the sensors on the Horizon Spear. It wasn't a song of fear. It was a song of truth, of presence. They weren't begging for mercy. They were offering understanding. Carter watched the feed from orbit. His heart ached. He remembered war zones on Earth, broken cities, burning skies, people hiding in terror. But here, in the face of destruction, these people stood tall. He turned back to the bridge. "Record this, broadcast it, everywhere. Let Earth see who they're about to destroy." Vega started the transmission, sending the feed live, across the Earth fleet, across the colonies, across all the channels that would accept an open signal. Then Carter stepped forward. "Open a channel to the Resolute." The screen blinked on. A stern face filled the display. Captain Renner Holt, a fleet loyalist. She stared at Carter without emotion. "Commander Carter," she said, "you are ordered to stand down immediately. Your ship is under investigation for mutiny and obstruction of Earth fleet objectives. You have 10 minutes to surrender command." Carter didn't flinch. "I won't follow orders that lead to murder." "You don't make that call," Holt said flatly. "This isn't about you. It's about Earth's survival. Step aside, or you'll be removed." "I've sent the truth to Earth," Carter said. "To everyone. The Varelians aren't a threat. They're not armed. They welcomed us. And if we destroy them, we prove only that we're the threat." Holt's jaw tightened. "You just gave Earth a weakness. You'll be remembered as a traitor." "No," Carter said quietly. "I'll be remembered as a man who chose not to kill the innocent." The screen went black. Within moments, the Resolute began to move. It adjusted its orbit, slowly positioning itself above Zarnok 3, targeting, preparing. Carter's crew worked quickly. Shields were raised, though they knew they couldn't withstand a full strike. Weapons stayed offline, by Carter's orders. "We're not firing," he reminded them. "We're not here to win a fight. We're here to stop one." Suddenly, an alert blinked on Vega's screen. Incoming transmissions, multiple Earth colonies, civilian networks, even some military stations. People are watching, protesting. Carter turned to her. From where? Everywhere. Another signal flashed. A message from the Earth Defense Council. Vega opened it, and the bridge fell silent. "This mission is suspended pending investigation. All offensive actions are to cease immediately. The Resolute will stand down. Commander Carter is to remain on Zarnok 3, as Earth's official representative, until further notice." No sound, just breathing. Then relief. The battle never came. The orders to destroy never arrived. The light of reason had pierced through. Carter exhaled, slow and steady. He turned toward his crew. "You all made this possible. You didn't just follow a man. You followed your conscience. Thank you." Rami, the security chief, gave a small, tired smile. We followed the only one who remembered what peace looked like. Hours later, Carter stood once again on the surface of Zarnok 3, before Thalon and a gathering of Varelians. "You stopped the fire," Thalon said, his voice soft. "No," Carter replied. "I just refused to light it." The sky was quiet. No weapons, no threats. Just the songs of a people who had stood strong without violence, and a commander who had learned that sometimes the most powerful weapon is choice. The sun rose slowly over Zarnok 3, casting long shadows through the crystal towers. The light refracted in 1,000 directions, painting the sky with soft hues of gold, blue and green. The warship that once hovered above the peaceful planet, the Horizon Spear, now rested quietly in orbit, silent, no longer a threat. Commander James Carter stood on a high terrace in the Varelian capital, overlooking the city. The air was still. The music of the city, those gentle harmonic hums, moved through the breeze like wind through a flute. It had been 5 days since the Earth Defense Council had ordered the operation shut down. 5 days since the Resolute withdrew from Zarnok's orbit without firing a shot. 5 days since Carter had spoken the truth to the galaxy. The response from Earth had been mixed: shock, outrage, support, fear. There were protests in cities, heated debates in government halls. Some still called Carter a traitor, others called him a hero. He didn't care for either title. What mattered was that the planet below him was still alive. The people still sang, and the fire of war had been stopped before it could begin. Behind him, footsteps approached, soft, slow, deliberate. Thalene, the Varelian diplomat, stepped onto the terrace beside him. "We have seen many visitors across the stars," Thalene said, "but you are the first to arrive in shadow and leave light behind." Carter smiled faintly. "I almost failed. If I hadn't opened that file, if I had followed orders without question." "But you did question," Thalene replied. "And that is where peace begins." Carter turned to face him. "Earth will send others, maybe better ones, maybe worse. Then we will meet them with honesty," Thalene said, "as we met you." Later that day, Carter gathered with his remaining crew in the main plaza of the city. The Varelians had arranged a simple ceremony. No grand speeches, no medals, just a quiet circle, a few shared words, and music that seemed to reach into the heart. Lieutenant Vega stood beside him. "Orders came through this morning," she said. "They're offering us all reassignment, separate postings." Carter nodded. "I figured. Earth wants to move us off the board for a while." "And you?" "I'm staying," he said. They approved it. "I'll serve here, as ambassador, maybe more." Rami, the security chief, crossed his arms and looked around. "Strange place to spend the rest of your life." Carter looked up at the towers. "Not so strange, not anymore." That evening, Carter walked alone through the city. Children ran through the glowing streets, their laughter echoing off crystal walls. He passed gardens that shimmered with bioluminescent plants. There were no weapons here, no soldiers on patrol, just people living, building, learning. It reminded him of what Earth used to dream about, before fear took over. He thought about Admiral Rourke. There were investigations underway now. Some reports said Rourke had gone silent. Others said he was under arrest. The truth would come out eventually. But Earth had changed, even a little. His broadcast had opened eyes, and once the truth is seen, it can't be unseen. That night, Carter returned to his quarters. Not a cold metal cabin on a warship, but a room shaped by music and stone, warm with color and quiet. He opened his personal log and recorded one final message. "Commander's log, final entry. The mission has ended, but something new has begun. Peace isn't a gift, it's a decision, a hard one. We came to Zarnok 3 carrying weapons, fear and silence, but we left behind something better, understanding. And I stayed because I believe Earth can be better than what it sent here. This is not surrender, this is a stand, and sometimes peace is the bravest stand of all." He closed the log, stood by the window and looked out at the city below. The stars were just beginning to appear in the sky, and Earth was watching.